Okay, welcome to the first session of Unit 2, which will be mainly led by our tutor Woo Jung-hyun, right?
안녕하세요.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can
Yeah, we can.
hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the network here is not really stable.
I think Singa is frozen. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. Let's wait for a few more people. Is it going to be started by Jung-hyun today?
Yeah, I'm going to start with, and later NJ will take over
Okay,
the lecture.
cool. Yeah, let's wait for a few minutes, but you can feel free to start anytime you want. Because we are going to record this anyway. Let's wait until around 35 people. And by the way, everybody, the recordings from yesterday is all uploaded on the YouTube channel. I emailed you the Excel sheet, but maybe I can also share the main playlist. So I shared the playlist on the chat, but you can access that from the email I sent yesterday.
Yeah, and NJ just shared a link. So we're gonna present it following this website. So if you are interested in our materials or lecture sequence orders, you just check it out. And you can, after today's lecture, you can always back to the website and then you can check it as well.
Jung-hyun, were you saying something? Sorry, I had network.
You did.
Here. Sorry.
Oh, we just share a website. We just a link, the Medium link on chat.
We got it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. So today, Jung-hyun will give us a general introduction about the first week of Unit 2 and general brief of what we are gonna learn and what we are gonna try out through the exercises, right? So,
Yeah.
Japan, yeah, would you explain, introduce them?
Yeah. Or do I just start now, or
We can wait a few more people. Let's hit around
Yeah, sure.
35 people and we get
yeah?
started.
That's
Okay.
Cool.
NJ, could you explain to Dana? I think he wants to download the NNA toolbox.
Yeah, I just share one Medium link to you guys throughout the chat. So actually, this is the main Medium page where you can access all the material and information or lecture series, etc. So we're gonna start always starting from that page. So there is a link. Actually, I can share my screen because we are going to wait other people. Okay, so this yesterday we described our description of this course. So this is the brief, like a short description here, and learning object, and this is the reading material that you can download from this link. This is pretty much same as yesterday. Yeah, most importantly, we have 2 lectures. Today we are going to throw out the individual topics by NJ&Woo and me. And then tomorrow, or the day after tomorrow, we're gonna visit this topic as well, okay? Not only that, actually I will describe at the end of this workshop in terms of the homework and some other extra material for you guys. I have a 2 versions, Korean version and English version, so you guys can take advantage of the material throughout this website. So, yeah. Any question related to this link? Great.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that
today-
was great.
yeah.
Sorry, for the tutors throughout the day, because we are going to share this, there will be few people who will be catch up by watching this recording. So if you have any link, it will be great if you show that link on your screen. So not only remaining on the chat, that would be great. Thank you. Yeah, maybe we can slowly start whenever you feel free.
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
Yeah, so let's begin the first lecture at Unit 2. Yeah, thank you for inviting us and putting all together this very interesting session. My talk today is to share with you about the topic of numeric network analysis for pedestrians. So we are focusing on the pedestrian scales. Of course, we will look at the more like urban context as well, but at the same time, we also generally we focus on the pedestrian scale because it is very directly related with urban built environments in our daily life. So it will be worth to try to do some kind of on-site research, and you can feel how it works, the network analysis in your daily life as well. So, yeah. So this is our first phase. So of course, later we also talk about the COVID-19 urbanism with 6-week rule. Not today. It's gonna be the day after tomorrow. We will briefly talk about this subject as well. So in the first lecture, we're gonna focus on the theory and history part, particularly for the network analysis theory in urban planning and design field. And we have 3 chapters for today. So first one is urban design quality and walkability. Second one is the spatial network analysis in transportation geography. And third one is we will do kind of like short workshop session with the NNA toolbox to learn about numeric network analysis with kind of more realistic kind of urban issues or urban questions. So in the chapter 1, we look at how pedestrians choose their travel paths in cities while they are walking. And also we look at the relationships between the walkability issues and built environment issues in our daily life. And in the chapter 2, we talk about more spatial network analysis method in transportation geography field, and you will learn about some mathematical equations to explain the method behind. This will be kind of helpful to understand our NNA toolbox as well. So and also you can modify the mathematical function for your future research as well. It is very basic and fundamental things, so it will be very helpful to build up your own research question as well. So in chapter 3, of course, we are going to do kind of short workshop. I prepare, NJ and we prepare like very basic urban questions, and then try to fit well with our NNA toolbox functions. So we prepared 5 examples, and each one you can examine the very specific question to understand the urban context and accessibility method and current urban issues as well. So we can expect that later, after this week, you can, based on this could be a kind of example for your second week workshop. So you also build on your research question for your analysis site. But today's examples coming from the Manhattan Midtown area. So this will be a good example, and you can reinterpret it for your research site for next week. And here is some readings, and those are kind of very fundamental, very key, easy. It's not very complicated readings actually. Throughout those readings, you will understand better about the network theory and accessibility analysis in urban design and planning field. So please download it and read it when you have your time. So, okay, let's start from chapter 1. So in the chapter 1, we are talking about the urban design quality and walkability issues. So throughout the understanding about the street type and walking culture, we can rethink about not only about just the general idea, you can also think about your own city or your experiences in city. So as you can see here, those pictures, excuse me, generally there are two common ways of using streets sorry, in cities, either auto-oriented cities or pedestrian-friendly cities. So how do you use your street in daily life in your city? So what is your city government pursuing for? Either auto-oriented street design or pedestrian-friendly street planning. So for instance, here is the New York. This is actually even before the COVID-19 pandemic. So the city of New York, they tried to change the street layout for the pedestrians. During the weekend on city streets, the people, pedestrians and bicyclers really prioritize over the cars, and they use the wider pedestrian street instead of car. So it's a kind of very big movement and paradigm shift from the city government. And here, let's think about the walking culture. So how far are you willing to walk? So, and how easy to access buildings on foot in your city? For those three cities are very different urban context, but it's still very metropolitan scale, but their walking culture is very different. So you can also think about your own city. So how do you easy to access your neighborhood buildings on foot? And do you think different cities really have different walking culture and how they are different and how we can measure the differences between the cities? We can just keep thinking about this issue while we are doing the accessibility analysis for the pedestrian scale. So here, this graph shows that New York City is available to access approximately like 6,000 buildings accessible within 1,000 meter workshed. However, if you are in Indianapolis, you can access only 900 buildings within 1,000 walk radius, or just about like 15 minutes walk. So it has a very big gap between the two cities. So how we can measure this, right? So, but our NNA toolbox can measure it. Like we can define the walking range, and also we can define the origin point and destination location, and then we can calculate it, and we can easily get the idea how many buildings you can access from your location to other destinations. But you think about like why this kind of research is so important for the urban planning or design, because this kind of analysis really directly adapt to the urban planning decision makings and developing the urban planning rules and laws. So this accessibility analysis will be very useful if you can adapt it for your future urban design project. So here is the gravity matrix map. I will explain more details about the gravity matrix later with our NNA toolbox. But gravity matrix is simply just showing the how the distance discount the percentage of travel possibilities. So for example, the top line is Calgary, which is the really good actually condition in terms of accessibility, because if people walk around meter distance in Calgary City, 50% people can survive But however, here the dark solid line here, small communities in British Columbia, only 10% of pedestrians can survive if they walk to 300-meter distance. So this kind of gravity metrics can explain the urban context and urban condition and how the travel distance can discount the percentage of number of travelers. So this is also very useful analysis while you are evaluate the walkability or accessibility analysis. So of course, NNA toolbox, you can do it. So we can explain it later how to develop this analysis. Here are the 4 steps. It's very traditional way of to calculate the travel demand modeling progress. So actually, this new tool or lots of accessibility analysis toolkits are really focused on the trip assignment analysis. So throughout this analysis, researchers really want to see the route of each trip and how travelers determine their destinations, how travelers decide the travel route in a city. So of course, our tool also focus on this trip assignment part, and this is actually the really key of the travel demand modeling progress. So here, this graph showing the relationship between built environment factors and active accessibilities. So as I said in the beginning, pedestrians really have a close relationships with the built environment while walking. So for example, density is used as an implicit agent for overall accessibility. And so of course, the denser place has more active accessibility nearby, of course. And the closest distance is explicit element for the accessibility index. And route characteristics is also explicit element to calculate the accessibility index. And diversity is also measured by land use mix index or building use mix index. And this is also very, very important to impact on the active accessibility. So actually the pedestrian accessibility cannot be separate from the built environments. So it's very closely linked each other and influence each other. So I will explain more details with some diagrams after these pages. So let's think about what is the benefit with the pedestrian-friendly environment. Actually, there are quite many benefits. So first one could be to improve the movement in the city and walk to the destination is very easy to walk and easy to transfer or take public transit and better urban safety and comfort walking environment, of course. And another, excuse me, benefit could be to stimulate the urban activities during the walk. So for example, like this kind of retail activities are very take advantage from the pedestrian friendly environment. So this kind of local small businesses can be very active under this kind of environment. So this, yeah, I just explained this diagram. So here I will show you some kind of diagrams and to explain how built environment factors are really create an active accessibility. So it's actually it's quite simple and we can easily imagine or think. So more building density or more neighborhood density, of course, increase the accessibility. For example, like this building is the destination, so it has a much higher GFA than this. So it will generate the more accessibility index here in this building, right? In terms of neighborhood scale, so if the surrounding has the more density, of course, it will increase the more accessibility index. And in terms of diversity elements, diversity factors, so you can imagine that, of course, more multi-mixed building will increase more accessibility than just the one single uh, use of buildings. And also the neighborhood diversity as well. Like if you have more diverse neighborhoods, like for example, mixed with housing, cafe, supermarket, or restaurant, it will generate more diverse pedestrian flows, like for example, shoppers or like workers or grocery shoppers. Or it also generate like more diverse and more number of people to here. And in terms of the distance, of course, like this kind of corner location is much require much shorter travel distance than this one, even though it's in the same block. But this one located at the end of the block, or if it located at the dead end location, it really adds longer travel distance to get here. But the building just located at the corner, it has a better accessibility index because it located at the corner. And it's about the route characteristics. It has a kind of similar number of housing units and within the similar size of areas. So if here is the destination, if you have to travel to get here, you have a long kind of detour trip to get here. But it located middle of the area, but this one is also located middle of the area, but it's kind of very direct, very simple route and easy to access to these destinations. So this kind of like urban fabric design or urban fabric type really impact on the accessibility index, and you can also increase the accessibility flows, or even you can control and decrease the pedestrian flow density as well. So think about for your future research, like how those three things, route characteristics and yeah, distance, four things, the diversity and density, those four urban factors, how you can use it for your future design. Yeah. So we are going to move to the second chapter 2, which is about the spatial network analysis in transportation geography. So before jumping into this second chapter, you can think about these three questions. How important is your location in the city? or a location in the city, and is the place is really easy to access, or what is your walking route to get to a locations. So how you decide your travel route while you are walking. So you just keep in your mind like 3 questions, and after learning about those concepts, maybe you can kind of more uh, uh, scientifically answer about those 3 questions. So let's jump into this first keyword. Maybe some of you already heard about Euclidean distance and network distance. So actually, to do the accessibility analysis, we have to define a clear search radius for pedestrian trips. It is very necessary because we have to define the travel kind of distance from your locations. So we need to define a very clear search radius for pedestrian trips. So the Euclidean distance, which is just a very straight line connecting between 2 points, and it just to generate very clear cut this circle shape of radius. It's very simple, right? We know this radius type, right? But the network radius type is really reflect the actual or realistic travel distance for pedestrians. So this radius reflect the actual travel distance as following the route, as following the path. So for example, the 500 meter from here to this building is not like the direct travel. It will take 4 along this network. So, but our tool at the NNA toolbox, you can calculate by using Euclidean distance network and this network radius as well. And then you can compare both of conditions, because sometimes you can understand like how the actual the network is really efficient in your research site. For example, the Manhattan is kind of grid context, so which is very simple, very straightforward. So that type of street is more efficient or like more simple than the old fabric, more complicated organic shape of urban fabric. So you can compare between two and which pattern is more efficient for your design. So you can evaluate it. This is a kind of like example. I just screen capture it. Actually, our tool is developed further, so it's much simpler than this now. You need only 2 components and link together, and you can get this Euclidean distance evaluations. So as you can see here, here is the destinations, and here are the origins in this area. So Euclidean distance is just simply showing the kind of the straight line distance. However, the network distance is just showing the more realistic network pattern. So if you want to go here, actually Euclidean distance is just counted same as like here, but here is much further than here.
Sorry to interrupt, Changyan. There's a question from Meyer in the chat.
Sure. Okay.
I just wanted to know How does the network incorporate the traffic? So, for example, sometimes an Uber driver might opt for a path which has less traffic compared to the shortest path. So, how do you determine inherent traffic in your network?
I can answer this, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so basically, you know, the calculating shortest path is a very well-known and common, you know, computing for the traffic. So when you use the Google map or like other map or Uber driver also use shortest path calculation things. But you know what? But the most important metric for driver is a traffic, or like some, you know, the construction can, you know, block the street. So they calculate which one is the shortest path in terms of the time complexity, I guess, rather than the distance itself. But this network analysis tool is more about like customizing by giving more weight to control the weight. So for example, like we have the network system in our city, and then we have the other data like coffee shop or restaurant or housing. We can actually embed this kind of the urban data on top of this network to calculate. So this is, I think, a huge difference between just our network, I mean this network, and the other network in the Google Map or Uber Drive we use. I think you can mimic it actually. Yeah.
Yeah, you have a really good question. So yeah, as NJ explained, like actually we can control this kind of issues by using weight, network weight. So I will mainly explain about the basic part because I want to deliver more like theoretical kind of fundamental kind of meaning to you first. And later NJ will show you how you can give a weight on the network. So actually we can control it. Like at a certain point we can give more attractiveness so people can, even though it's not a shortest path, but people prefer to take that route. But if we give a kind of minus a weight, even though it is like shortest path, but people just want to detour the location. So in a custom part, actually you can do the kind of in-depth analysis as well by using our NNA toolbox. If you know about like some coding or C# or Python, so NJ can explain how to treat or hacking our tool and then use it for your research.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the second concept is about distance decay. I already explained the concept briefly in the first page. So the distance decay is the concept of the friction of distance. So it is a geographical term affected by the distance. So actually it could be measured in time, cost, or other things. But here we just focus on the distance. So as you can see here, the shorter distance, more likely travel will occur, of course, because like if people walk only like 500 meters, people can survive. Like if beta is 0.001, people can survive like over maybe 30%. But if people walk to 1,000 meters, like almost no one can survive, you know. But this kind of range can control by the beta value. So there are a lot of researchers just to study about this beta number, you know, to find which beta number is the suit for a certain kind of city. For example, Beijing, London, Seoul, or even in US, like Los Angeles or like Manhattan, Boston, all different city has all different beta value condition. Because as you can see here, like it's a lower value is better, which means that people like to walk longer distance with the lower beta value. But if it is a higher value, it means that people don't want to walk longer distance in that area. So for example, in Boston, we have a very cold winter season and very long days. So in winter season, many transportation planners assume that the beta value could be around 0.004 because it's a very bad condition for walking. But during the summer or like the spring or it's a good weather, the beta value is just suddenly became like 0.001 because it's people can pleasantly walking longer distance under the good weather. So this beta value concept you have to keep in mind because in our tool NNA toolbox, you have to define your beta value for your site. So particularly for gravity analysis, so you have to understand this concept. At least you have to understand lower value is better. Better means the people willing to walk longer distance. And this, so again, I will explain this graph again. So now you guys can understand better this graph now because this is the distance decay kind of curve. So Calgary has a more kind of like lower beta value curve. So in Calgary city, people prefer walking longer than other cities. So, yeah, of course, you can examine with the NNA toolbox. Yeah, I have to update the image. Anyway, now it's much simpler. You need only 2 components to evaluate your distance decay with your city network. So we can explain it later.
Is beta value determined from survey or is there an equation or framework to determine that?
There is an equation. Yeah, there is an equation. If we wanna learn about it, we can share it later. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, this kind of studies began like 50 years ago. It's a kind of long history and it's very kind of strong foundation. So I'm pretty sure that if you understand very fundamental kind of concept, you can develop a much kind of like further and better way or by using kind of, or maybe you can integrate with kind of like current research methods and you can develop it. So here we are talking about weight in transportation geography. So yeah, maybe this one is related with your question as well. So we are talking about the attractiveness or deviation in spatial network. So here, as you can see this diagram, so people travel from origin to destination. So if there is 4 different route choices, so which one you gonna take? So for example, for more extreme weather, people might just directly travel to a station rather than to take another kind of detour for shopping or go dining with their friends. So these kind of route choices are kind of controlled by the weight condition. So there will be the 3 different weight. So first one is network weight, and second one is the origin weight, and third one is the destination weight. So first one is the network weight. So now network weight is a kind of degree of frictional distance to define the attraction and deviation. Like deviation here is about the fall off or deterrence at a like given node or area, places in the spatial network you can given. And this is kind of very helpful to specify opportunities with different ways to adjust your realistic cost and time of travel in the city. So for example, like this is Cambridge crime data. So here is the kind of certain areas has like crime happened in last year. So if you have this kind of data, you can also use it as your network weight. So people can detour a certain kind of like dangerous places, and you can adapt it to your research site, and then try to make more kind of realistic condition for your specific urban context. And second could be the weather, as we said, like cold weather or like rainy. I heard that now Seoul is too rainy. I heard it's flooding kind of happening now. So this kind of bad weather situations, like of course people not willing to walk, right? In Seoul, many people, like we have a very good public transportation system, so people kind of like to walk when for their commuting or for their shopping, but under this kind of bad weather, maybe people could take different choices. So this weather information could be another your network weight as well. And as you asked before, like for example, Los Angeles traffic report shows about the speed of the road. So this one can be literally used for your network weight, and then you can calculate it for the car accessibility, not for pedestrian accessibility. And also the street design quality can define the network weight as well. If there is very bad paving, and even there is a trees, but it cannot really shading for the road, so people not want to walk on this kind of condition, right? So this kind of design quality also impact on the network as well. And this is kind of typical US street environments, the very wide car street, but here is very narrow pedestrian street, and it's kind of okay, but it's not very pleasant to walk along this street. But here is in New York, Manhattan, it really like bicycle and pedestrian oriented street really can activate pedestrian flows and bicyclers using the street. So all this kind of design, like this is a street layout design, right? Can also using for your network weight as well. And now we are like pandemic kind of era and post COVID-19, so the way of using the network is changed, right? So this kind of pandemics also can be another type of weight for your network analysis as well. And the second one is the origin weight. So origin is a kind of the representative of factors to generate the travel or kind of like available opportunities to create a travel within the network. So actually we just simply imagine that only people can be the origin element, but actually the number of people or number of job or cross floor areas of buildings or other things can be part of origin, because like actually this kind of materials can be impact on the generating the traveling on the street. So we also counted this data and using as our origin weight. So yeah, in custom part. So NJ also explained how to use it. And also destination, it can have a weight as well. So measuring the utility of destination can be destination's weight. So which destination is more attractive than the others? Like, for example, if a subway station offer like 4 different subway connections, but another, in a neighborhood subway station only offers 1 subway line service, it really different weight of destinations, right? 4 services is better than 1 service for the pedestrian kind of route choices perspectives. Or a shop is better quality than the others, or a restaurant is better quality than another, even though they are in a same network. So these kind of like qualities can be a destination weight because it can attract travelers on the street. So all not only just like there could be many things actually to be able to use as a destination weight. So these kind of concepts, if you remember it, you can, when you develop your design or urban planning project, you can control the pedestrian flows as well by using these weight values. Keep in mind this concept.
Sorry to bother you with another question. I was just curious to know that does the network weight is a constant value or is it a function of time or dynamic? Because there might be some peak hours during the day and afternoon, the network is less crowded. So
yeah, to answer your question, this is not a constant value. Yeah, you can dynamically control.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and yeah, time is already like almost like I lectured like almost 50 minutes. So let's have 10 minutes break and then we can come back to this lecture. Yeah, I will give you like 10 minutes break. And if you have any questions, just leave a message on chat or you can just come.
Thank you.
Thank you.